And we'll start all official like. Okay, so welcome to the show. I'm Johnny Baghead. Today we're going to try and finish off this dog ending run through that I started without planning. But we're playing on beginner, which means that basically everything dies in one hit. And we have the puzzle set to easy, which means the puzzles just tell you what the solution is most of the time. And we'll see how this goes. Beginner difficulty is ridiculous, if anyone didn't see it last time. Most of the enemies die in one hit from the handgun, and even if you don't shoot them on the floor, they seem to just die anyway. So we're just going to try and get to the dog ending as quickly as possible with me not knowing the route that well. I remember it okay, but a lot of there's some puzzle solutions that are random every time, so we have to find the solutions to those. And then get to see the canon ending. Canon ending, yeah, the canon ending. But the reason I want to do this is a few years ago, people found out there was a. Oh, I really shouldn't bother picking up all this stuff. People found out there is a mini-map cheat code like hidden in the game, and you have to get the dog ending to be able to activate it. And I, want to see it in person. It just seems like kind of a big deal. Okay, let's see what we got here. Okay, just pictures. Shoot you for fun. Gotta jump down some holes. As they say, any hole's a goal. Yep, that's the map pun. I'm still doing it. How many streams is this now? 6? No, 5. Just a wall. Just a wall. There we go. So how's everything going with everyone today? So this is going to be a very chill stream because enemies do not do much on this difficulty. Food. Nice. Oh yeah, this bit. So this is one of the spooks. It's not that. So yeah, here you just have to kind of keep trying stuff until you find the one that works. Nope. Nope. In other difficulty modes, this is a bit more panicky, but Here, we just want to save time. Here we go. Gonna keep going down. Trying to think, anything going on with me? Not much, to be honest. I did change some stuff. I did mess with the resolution and bitrate a little bit. It's not going to be HD, but it's a little higher as we go through this. It's a shame I don't have the Greatest Hits / Director's Cut version, because then, for the heck of it, I might have just done the UFO playthrough as well. Yeah, I'm just going to use the handgun just because it's quicker. Okay, so Director's Cut or Greatest Hits is was the, you know, like the Greatest Hits line in the US, or the Platinum line. They're kind of the same, but they are managed a little different. Is when they would reprint games, but unlike most of the time, the re-release, the reprint actually did have differences. When they made the Xbox port, which is a bit of a mixed bag, it's better in some places, it's worse in others. So this version is still typically considered, but the PS2 versions are considered better. But that one has different lighting model. I think like the lighting is one of the things that looks better on Xbox. It has progressive support. Someone was claiming it had surround sound, but I don't know if that's confirmed. Because that reminds me of this is weird. I don't know why he said this, but during the whole HD collection voice actor debacle, Tom Hewlett said that none of the original audio was in surround sound. I think so. I don't quote me on that, but I think so, because I think it's based on that version, but I couldn't say. But the main difference was, and I don't know if this is in the Xbox version as well, they added the UFO ending. Oh yeah. Nope, still no one in there. We didn't hear that the playthrough before. Spooky noise. They tried to spook you. Got you. But they also it wasn't the main team. I'm not exactly sure, but like some people from Team Silent made an extra like small campaign where you played as Maria before the start of the game. I personally don't think it's great. It has some interesting ideas, but the I think like the level design and the puzzle design's a lot weaker, and the story that happens is a bit like, I don't think it's as interesting as the idea sounds. But that's the main thing, is they added an extra ending, and they added that campaign. It's called Born from a Wish. I don't know if there's anything else different with that version on PS2. Oh, Ample. Oh, thank you, Jabbers. need to stop picking up this ammo. I can't help it. Let's see, what do I remember? Let's see what's else in here. But yeah, I don't believe the lighting changes are in the PS2 re-release. And obviously the progressive support. Not sure why. That was only on Xbox. I would say the other difference, and it's not like a proper gameplay difference, but it's a controller difference. The Xbox, and I actually didn't know this, because I don't know of any games that use it apart from Silent Hill 2 and probably Metal Gear Solid 2, is the digital buttons on the Xbox were also analog buttons like they are on PlayStation 2, where they're pressure sensitive, so if you push them down harder, they act different. But because of the way the controller's built, you don't have 4 shoulder buttons. You only have the 2. And I must, based on playing this version so many times, I really can't imagine it controls very well, because, so in case anyone's not aware, the way the controls work is this is your ready aim button, this is the camera button, and then these are the strafe buttons, and if you press both of them together, that's your quick turn. But on Xbox, you can't have them. They're on the black and white buttons. So if you want to like aim and strafe and shoot at the same time, you just can't on that version. And also just the idea of like having to hit those buttons, and unless there's like some like very drastic rebinding they do, which I don't know how you could rebind those controls to make them work, because all the face buttons are used, and like the D-pad and the analog stick both do movement. So also the Xbox version, actually, despite the fact it runs at higher resolution, it runs worse. It tends to have slowdown that the PS2 version just doesn't have. I just want to make sure I actually got the lighter. Yeah, okay. So the PlayStation 2 version has the extra ending and the campaign, but yeah, well, the Xbox controller was always notorious for its being unwieldy. It's good for some games. Though I will say specifically the S version, which is the one I typically use. That's the one that I have on my console, the one that needs repairing because it broke midstream. But the original, the Duke, is pretty rough. It does have some advantages. It was good for fighting games, funny enough, because the black and white buttons on the front of controller kind of let you have the 6 button setup. But I don't know if that weird D-pad the original Xbox controller had was good, because that thing was huge and really bulky and unwieldy. Though the original Xbox is a fascinating console, because of its like weird partnerships with Japanese developers that Microsoft has not really ever done again, and I can understand why, because it didn't really help them. Though it's a shame, where they had a lot of Japanese developers making exclusive games for it. For example, Sega made a bunch of Xbox exclusives, and some of them were like sequels to like Sega Saturn and Dreamcast classics, like Crazy Taxi 3, Jet Set Radio, Future, Panzer Dragoon are like all Xbox exclusive games. And then there's all the stuff that Tecmo, Koei did, the Ninja Gaiden stuff. And for the games that like feel like Dreamcast games, those ones surprisingly feel good. But yeah. Okay. Pretty sure you can't go in that other two door, but let me just check. I'll learn this stuff eventually. I've played this game enough times now. Yep, I knew it. I knew I turned around. Okay, yeah. And though it still has the pressure sensitive stuff. I imagine, based on what I remember, because I remember it being a complaint actually, the Xbox port of Metal Gear Solid Subsistence, that also has issues because of the control difference, and a lot of like multi-platform stuff where you can tell they were designing it around the PlayStation control scheme first. They all feel a little weird. Oh, weird. I don't know why James raised the gun there. I wasn't. Black Star. There we go. I didn't press the trigger there. That was a little odd. Oi. Yeah. Pretty sure this whole bit. My PS2 controller, I think, I don't know how long I've had this one. But I feel like it's been a really long time. And it's definitely something worth calling out. I feel like once we got to a certain gen of consoles, controllers just don't last as long. Like PlayStation 4 controllers, I've had break on me or people I know in multiple ways. Oh, I don't know if the stream just saw that. Something really weird just happened. Is this room just the... Yeah. Yeah. But it's like really subtle things. I was messing around with Doom 2016 because I kind of want to stream it at some point. And when I was playing it, and it only seems to happen for that game because it must be the way the dead zones are set up. If I would turn left, it turns fine. If I turn right, it turns slower. And I don't know why. It's the weirdest thing. And one of the controller that actually did last quite a while. Only the down and like all the other buttons are fine, but the D-pad down is the only one that works on the D-pad, and all the other like D-pad directions don't work. And for some games, I guess if I'm lucky enough to play a game that doesn't use the D-pad, it's fine. But everything else, and even with the PlayStation 3 controllers, like they were a bit better. I've had okay luck with Xbox controllers. I've never had those break on me. But, yeah. And they're so much more expensive nowadays because of all the weird shit they put into them. I think I might have missed one of the PS3. The PS3 controllers do feel a little. I'm trying to think actually. No, the D-pad's mostly fine. I think the 6-axis ones just feel cheap because without those analog parts in them, they just feel really light. Apparently, also I don't know about UK, but apparently in the US there's actually kind of a shortage of controllers right now of parts. So PS4 controllers aren't being manufactured much, and they're really hard to find. So I don't know what's going on there. Yeah, I did. See, this is why you got to be careful rushing through. There we go. Yeah, well, it's why would you counterfeit them? I think people don't mind buying third-party stuff most of the time anyway. Like, depending on them, they can be fine. Like, I've definitely throughout the years used some, like, rough third-party controllers. Especially in, like, the PlayStation 1, PlayStation 2 era. There were some, like, really bad ones. Where they just had awful D-pads and buttons. But, yeah, the pressure-sensitive digital buttons on my FacePad are a bit awkward. There's some games, I think it was one of the Tony Hawk games I was playing, where you have to hold down to charge your jump, and every so often it would jump when I wasn't letting go. It's not too bad for this game, though. But when we were doing some of the like hold attacks, that's why sometimes different outputs would come out. And that's something that affects well, even if it was like a good port, it would affect the HD collection on 360 because I think there are other ways to do moves without using the pressure sensitive stuff on the melee moves, but it's still a bit awkward. Yeah. Yeah, I think all the PS1 controllers I've still got are all still working. Alright, we can go solve that door. Let's plan my route. Okay. Just wanted to make sure, yeah, that door's locked. So, trying to think how long it will take me to get to the dog ending. Because it really depends on how quick I can do stuff. Like, I don't think it should take too long. And I'm not sure what we're going to do afterwards. We're definitely going to reload load up a new save and try this mini-map thing. I really, really want to see how that works. And I wonder, I assume that's not in any of the other, like that's not in 3 or 4. It's interesting they only did that for this and they hid it behind such a, like maybe they did release the code somewhere and it was just somewhere so obscure no one found it. Like it's not in any of the guides or anything. Though the quote unquote like official guides, as in Konami approved them, are terrible for most of Silent Hill games. For some reason, Konami are really bad about proofreading and double checking the like material they put out around Silent Hill. I think I just go straight here. Yep. Kind of curious as to do all the boss fights with the pistol and just see how they go. Gotta keep going down. So to get to the dog ending, there's two ways to get the requirements. You either have to get all of the 3 regular endings, which is the leave Maria in water ending, or you have to get any one of those endings and the ritual ending. And then when you start a new game after doing one of those 2 things, you find the dog key in a dog house, and there is a door in the hotel right near the end of the game before the boss fights that you normally can't open. That opens up with that key, and that just ends the game there. Doesn't cut off the game as early as the UFO ending in 3. The UFO ending in 3 basically cuts like more than half the game, I think. It's quite a big portion. Like, you don't even get to the town in the Silent Hill 3's UFO ending. But that has a more interesting requirement from what I remember. And I don't know the UFO ending requirements in the other version of Silent Hill 2. I know you pick up an item in the first room, and I think you have to use it in set locations, because that's what you had to do in Silent Hill 1's UFO ending. Aha. Oh, that's a dead end. Excuse me, fellas. Yeah, unfortunately, no. Alright, let's keep going. No. That's the thing, like, 2... Oh, there's ton of speed runs. The optimal speed run is to do it on PC, though. Because the PC port is... Oh, there's Pyramid Head. For some reason, he didn't show up here when we did hard mode. Oh, I somehow missed him. But I ran this whole gambit and we didn't meet him. But yeah, the speed run's done with the PC port. The PC port was done very quickly and on a very tiny budget, apparently. And that's why it's so busted and most of the effects don't work and other things. But what you do is you mess with loading and saving states. And from what I remember, because this is going by when I watched the speedrun at Games Done Quick, it overrides triggers. Because Silent Hill games are typically like very not scripted, but sequenced. Like, you can't really sequence break in them because you have to hit very set triggers to advance the story and advance world changes and trigger cutscenes and things like that. And I believe the save load state glitches on the PC allows you to do that, basically. We almost, when I was streaming this last time and we finished our ritual run, and I was like, let's just do this. We almost did do just do the whole thing speed run style, but it got too late for me. Let's see if I can... Nope. Yeah, I don't remember the solution to this. It's not that. Okay. Nope. I actually solved this like really quickly last time. Yeah, beginner mode is very much just like you can't handle stuff, and that's fine. No, it's just that I solved it by accident. I mean, ideally what you're supposed to do is you're supposed to look and see like, okay, which layout. Okay, actually I am very close to solving this. I just need to turn it. There we go. That was just me being lazy. If I had just looked in the room and figured out what position it had to be in to make the two doors. Okay. Remember, based on us skipping the cutscenes, that's Mary. Because it's the only part of the cutscene we heard. And why we're still hanging around, we don't know. But unless there's a separate category for it, I don't know if there are any console-specific speedruns of this. Typically, I find, looking at them, people tend not to do that. They tend to just stick to whatever platform's the fastest and not do separate leaderboards for platforms. Though, I feel like it'd be cool for some games to do that, because there can sometimes be exploits and glitches that you can only do on one specific platform. I never did it, and I don't know why I wanted to do this. I was really tempted to try and figure out a way to speedrun the PlayStation 4 or Xbox version of Doom 2016. Oh yeah, we gotta go this way first. I think we do. And though I was able to do some of the tricks, why did I do this again? What is the point of this room actually? Is there a point? Is that just a dead end trick here? But so the main difference is on PC that speedrun uses high frame rates to do crazy collision bugs and launch yourself across maps, which you just can't do on the consoles because you can't get the game to run at that frame rate. So I was really curious of like, okay, there were speedrun tactics before that don't necessarily use those. And I did mess with some stuff. I did learn how to do like clips through walls and how to get out of bounds and some of that stuff, but it's like, yeah, I'm not very good at doing the whole grinding games to get those down. Plus, I think I was trying to replicate glitches, but I didn't look up to see like, well, what are you supposed to be doing? I was just trying to do what I'd seen in the video. So I ended up, yeah, it's. I think it's just a thing I don't have patience for. Maybe when I was younger, I would have done something like that. Though I am still tempted to one day do speed runs of games, like ones that I know I can learn to be quite short, or I have a specific affinity for. Get out of the way, mister. Also, to speedrun this, you have to use the 2D controls, and that's not fun at all for me. Even the guy who did the speed run at Games Done Quick, Punchy, he he's like, I have to play with these controls, and it's the worst. Because it is faster, but the game controls way worse. But just because it kind of breaks the game, you can actually turn corners faster. Oh, thank you. Yeah. I was curious if anyone's. Some people might know where that quote's from, and some won't. I did show you this, Clarisse. It's from one of Tom Hewlett's deleted forum posts. It was the. I still don't know what his point he was trying to make. Because in an interview he said it was supposed to be an in-character quote, but when he explained it, he didn't explain it as an in-character quote, and the post was even signed, "Oh, don't hate me, Silent Hill 2's still like in my top 7 favorite games of all time." It's like, well, if it's in character, why would you be like, "Oh, I still love it though, despite this"? And it was, I don't know if it was about the voice acting or whatever, but he was trying to say that, oh, Silent Hill 2 is aged, it's not very good for people who like playing Halo. But it's weird because like Halo does have like a very deep and in-depth story. I'm sure there's a lot of people who did play Halo that didn't care about the story. But even like especially by the time the HD collection came out in like 2012, like Halo had loads of story. It had like all the hidden terminal stuff in Halo 2 and Reach. Like a lot of that story was very complicated. Yeah, if that's what he meant. But also, I'm gonna say this: in 2012, he should have talked about Call of Duty people, not Halo. Like like how dated a quote is that? He committed an evil crime. He turned a happy home into a pile of art. For that, he should die. They also committed crimes. They tricked to fraud and tricked others, so their war too is natural. Even he cannot be forgiven, a friend without his left hand, and so his death bothers me not. And what of him? He also is not sinless. There's only one here who is innocent. The missing child was nowhere to be found, so there was no proof of his guilt. His death was a tragedy. There we go. I know, but I grew up in the era of like the big game on Xbox Live being Halo, but by 2012 it'd been years that Call of Duty had overtaken it. And Call of Duty is the one with the more like simple story where it's just, oh, war's bad, but war's also awesome. Okay, we got to find the kidnapping guy. There we go. That'd be really funny if you put that quote and he was like, "Oh yeah, your GoldenEye chugging buddies who don't enjoy Silent Hill storytelling now they'll enjoy it because of the HD collection." But it was a weird point to make because the only change in the collection, like ignore all the bugs, ignore the visual glitches and the stuff that like changes the like the environmental storytelling because textures are flipped or sound effects are on and you can't see things. The only change is the new voices, and the new voices wouldn't be like, why would people who are like only care about shoot bands, why would their only barrier of entry be the voice acting? Like what? Like no, the barrier entry is the genre. They like it's a completely different genre style. There we go. And again, the key thing about the voices in the HD collection is they're playing the characters differently. Regardless of what you think of the quality of the voice acting, and despite me liking most of the actors who are in the HD collection, I think it's some of the worst performances they've done. It definitely feels like somewhat budgety, and I found out recently their union. Most of them are actors who are part of the big voice actors guild union, but that's a job they all took off their union, which typically means it's like cheap. It's you don't get paid as much and you get less rights. Like none of them are actually like though everyone knew who the voices are, they're not credited in the collection because of that. So it like that to me instantly reads of like, oh yeah, they weren't that invested. And based on the way they performed, it sounds like none of them really. I've bear in mind, obviously, like they were given voice direction, Maria? So it's not fair to say just the voice actors. Well, no, this game is 2001, Maria? So when they started working on the Maria? HD collection, it would have been about a decade. And again, I don't remember like outside of people who just didn't like these games, I don't really remember being like, oh yeah, Silent Hill, that's a series with the bad voice acting. But then when the HD collection came around, people were like, oh yeah, that series was notorious for having terrible voice acting. There was specifically a review, I think it was Game Informer, did a review of the HD collection. And it's a terrible review. I'm not going to name who did it. It's the guy who also gave Dead Space 3 a 9 out of 10, for context. But the review does not compare the game to the PS2 version at all. There's like absolutely no comparison of the graphics or the visuals, the sound effects, anything. No, well, no. The thing is, the HD collection was made on the cheap. The reason why the actors were being non-union was because Konami didn't want to spend that money. My God, this difficulty is so stupid. Like that's the thing I would say about this difficulty. It's like if you really are that bothered with how this game controls and plays, like just play it on this difficulty level. Because you could be terrible with the controls and you'd be fine. Granted, I don't think, that's the best solution. There we go. Oh yeah, we're gonna get through this really quick. I'm not sure what I'm gonna do after this. I might just look at my PlayStation 2 games and just if anyone can pick something, they're like, oh yeah. Just gonna safety save. Just think, worst come to worst, there's a power cut or anything. I did find out though, Pyramid Head's overhead, his overhead attack, will still kill you on this mode. Apparently, most of the enemy, I haven't tested it, but you know, I was told last time that basically none of the enemies can kill you. Oh, weird! The controls are different. The controls for this on hard are different. That's interesting. You had to spin the sticks on hard. This is just using like the normal controls here. Weird. I don't think I've ever seen that in a game. Where difficulty level changes the controls. I'm really trying to think, like, the closest I can think of is some fighting games have easy operation modes. But that doesn't change the difficulty of the game, of the, like, the AI. Wow. Yeah, I don't know. Like, yeah, it was a bit tiring, but maybe that's the idea of, like, we've playing on hard, we'll make this little section more challenging because there's nothing else they can do to make it more challenging. I don't know if that's what the controls are on normal. I want to say the controls on normal are the same. So I think hard mode is the only one where the controls are different. There you go, James. Hope we got good average boat speed on the stat screen. Right, here we go. The hotel. The thing is, if I was going to play Soul Calibur 2, no, I didn't unlock everything. I'd probably just play the HD version on the Xbox One. Well, it's technically the 360 version, but it runs on the Xbox One as well. Because just, you know, that's the nicest looking version, and it's also got both the PlayStation 2 and the Xbox character on it. Could play Soul Calibur 3 though. I'm picking up a lot of stuff I don't need, but it's just because I don't remember if there's key items in any of these rooms. Just double check. No, I don't think so. Trying to think what's the best way of showing what my PlayStation 2 library is. Maybe my price charting account. Yeah, okay. think I'm just going to go to the restaurant. Let's see if I can find that fire this time. Not the fire, the heater. There we go, skip that cutscene. Okay, it's not this room. Let's go to the main room now. Whew. Trying to think what else to mention. It's not too much to mention about this now that we've done the playthrough so recently. There we go, we've got the room key. That door's locked. Might as well safety save again. Let's see. Pretty sure this door's locked, but let's just double check. Yep. Be kind of tempted to check out a rhythm game, but I'm worried most of them would not run very well. No. Yeah, pretty sure this is what this key's for. Yep, remembered it this time. Whew. Don't think there's been any those still the new like Silent Hill rumors. I'm still just kind of hoping none of it's real because I still don't see anything good coming out of them. What was it now? The Game Awards was the next one? Oh, I actually don't remember when the Game Awards are supposed to be. Okay. Is there anything else in here? Yeah. Well, like I said, when we've talked about them, is the rumors have changed so many times. Like, there's only been little bits that have been inconsistent about them. Being consistent about them. I definitely think it's way too early if Team Blooper are working on a Silent Hill game. I think it's way too early for them to talk about it. Like, just for their benefit, even. I feel like this version does glitch more. This PAL version. Which is weird. Take that, Bedman. Check these rooms. I said this before, but I really wish that whole thing could just go away. Employee elevator key. Aha! Is this... Hopefully I can actually find the room that I'm thinking about this time. So yeah, I could try all the random words that can be, but I think it'll be quicker to just go and find the actual solution. But I don't know. I still feel like if anyone was like contracted to make a Silent Hill game these days, most people just wouldn't want to. Like I'm honestly trying to think of a franchise that's had like such a drop in quality from its like heyday. Like the closest I can think of is maybe Resident Evil. But even when Resident Evil got really bad, it never... I don't know if I would say it ever got as bad as Silent Hill did. As bad as Resident Evil 6 is. At least it had arguably way too much money spent on it. And even then, it still sold a really crazy amount. Even though it technically underperformed because they spent so much money on that game, they needed like 1 million sales to make their money. Like, no, not even. They needed like 10 million to make their money back. Okay, that's locked. I would and I have kind of mixed feelings on that. I think they would do a better job, but I'm not sure if they would do a good job. It's a random pull. But there's an interview that some Konami people, not Konami people, sorry, but there's an interview that was done at one point regarding like the Capcom staff, where they were comparing Resident... Oh, yeah, you have to check this. Yeah, I think... I think that's the one that, like, why does that keep coming back? That Kojima's got to work on something. How quickly can I do this? But yeah, there was this interview that I think it was someone... It was the guy who directed Resident Evil 3? And he said that, in Resident Evil, the horrors, like, it's all... I don't think he said it was, like, reality-based, but it was supposed to be more science fiction, because it's, it's the virus, and that's the horror. And then he said that, and then in Silent Hill, it's all about ghosts. It's like, no, it's not. it's not what it's about at all. Especially at the time, it was like, no, it wasn't about ghosts and hauntings and things like that. It's realistic is not the right word. I'd have to try and find that interview again to remember like what the terminology they used was. But that was the distinction they were making, was like, oh, Silent Hill's paranormal and about ghosts and shit. And Resident Evil isn't. And as much I know there's with some really hardcore people, there's mixed feelings about it. Um, but for example, the Resident Evil 2 remake, I really like that game. But I think that's also the change for not having fixed cameras. The reason why it doesn't bother me quite as much is well, it's not okay. The only time like Silent Hill ever seems to be haunted is, well, there's that bonus campaign they added to the Xbox and Greatest Hits version of Silent Hill 2, and like I said, most people don't agree that's it's not very good, and it's kind of weird to do it. But you're not being attacked by ghosts. You're not seeing like it's cold. It's supposed to be coldish and weird that way. Yeah, Silent Hill 4 definitely, yeah, but Silent Hill 4 is a bit of an outlier because it was made by essentially the B team. Like almost none of the people who did mainline stuff on Silent Hill 1 through 3 worked on 4, and it was co-made at the same time. Yeah, well, bearing in mind when Resident Evil gave this interview, Silent Hill 4 wouldn't have come out. And it's also weird to be like, oh, that's what Silent Hill's about because of this one game they made, and not the other three. It's like, really, is that the only one you guys played? Was 4? Like, I still think 4 has some great points, but it definitely has a lot of issues. And even then, like they call them hauntings, but they're not supposed to be ghosts in 4. But 4's a bit complicated and weird like that. Just making sure which of these doors work. Yep, good. Okay, I'm pretty sure you can't get in the fridge room, but I'll just check for prosperity. I'm really trying to remember what room has the electric fire in it. Because I've seen a screenshot of it. Whoop. Alright, yeah, I think I've just got to go down to the basement now. Whereas I think the fixed camera angles, like the ones this game uses, like not everywhere, but there are so many that I think are important to the atmosphere and the way they want to present the game, and also the claustrophobic feeling the rooms are supposed to have. And that's one of the problems. Is once you put the camera into behind the back view, you can't do like small areas like this. Because it ends up the camera just gets caught on walls all the time. And also, like you have to try and set up if you're ever doing scares. Yeah, and with Silent Hill 3, that's like one of its core themes is the feeling of being stalked and preyed upon. But that's something all the Silent Hill games play with at like some point. And I don't see modern Capcom wanting to do that, just because it's okay. I've got to go find the can opener thing, but because it like these kind of controlling games are so presented in a lot of like reviews and publications that cover video games, they just insist that, oh, you can't make games like this. This is bad when games play like this. What key did I find? This shows you, like, we just beat this, and I'm... Oh, I do have the can opener. I'm an idiot. Ow. Darn it. Got smacked there. Random note, the black fades in the HD collection run slower. And they take so long that scene of James, like, from the camera from behind, opening the cans, you don't see in the HD collection, because it takes so long to fade from black. Yeah, there are some... I want to say that the PAL version of this game is actually the version that came out first, but I could be wrong about that. So maybe it is slightly glitchy in ways that the others aren't. Oh, I'm being an idiot. We're supposed to be getting through this as fast as I can, and I keep going the wrong way. I mean, sometimes it's good enough, but I think it's a thing of... I've got to the point now where I prefer to see coverage from individuals that have an identity in their work, and when you work for a lot of big sites, you lose that, and also just the turnaround and the amount of games you get to work on, you have to do reviews for, and how quickly you have to turn them around. You don't get to spend the time that most of these games need to review them properly. You know, like think of that this game in actuality needs multiple playthroughs to get all the endings and content. Like, if you want to get all endings, you have to play... let me think, how long is it? I don't know about the hours, but, you know, it's 5 playthroughs to get all the endings. And I'm not sure you could, save... You could maybe save manipulate, but you would have to have picked up where all the, triggers are, like what affects the endings, and even now, like, some of that stuff was only just discovered. I'm not. I don't know if it's 100% confirmed. People have been testing it. But at least in the PC version, some of the triggers that affect getting the Maria ending are broken, and you always get the point no matter what. And that is, so the way the endings work in Silent Hill 2 is that they all start off with a score, and different things you do will either add points or take away points from said score. And for 2 of the triggers for Maria's ending, which is spending a certain amount of time near her, and what was the other one? Checking the... I forget when, but checking the room that she has a sleep in the hospital, and at least on the PC version and possibly the console versions as well, you get those points regardless of if you do them or not for some reason. Alright. Got our stuff back. There's a weird bit in Downpour that feels like they were trying to copy that. But it's really weird because you only put your stuff down for like 10 seconds. It's really odd. It's like, okay, you put all your stuff down, but then you pick it up immediately. It's just like, so why is it there? I don't know. But yeah, you do tend to see nowadays that games that are I'd say nowadays, but it's kind of been a thing for a while now, where games are sometimes made more to gear towards reviews. When I play action games, it will come up a lot more. The Devil May Cry reboot is a game that's very built to appeal to reviewers and to be fair, it's not 100% their fault because this is how the industry works and they have to review games a certain way. And again, games like that where the combat depth is so high and you're meant to play those games multiple times, and when you play them on the different difficulties, the enemy patterns change and they do new attacks and things like that. But Shattered Memories actually is a really good example of that. Because that game, funny enough, it's essentially this system this game has. Because it's the way you play affects the ending you get, and a lot of the way you play kind of says how you are as a person, because basically, without going into the specifics of how all the triggers in Silent Hill 2 work, the leave ending means you've played basically like you genuinely are looking for your wife and you generally did love her and believe the lie essentially that James is telling himself. In the Maria ending, you've basically, like moved on and tried to find this replacement to this thing that James has lost. And then in the Walter ending, that's the one where, and there's a lot of allusions to it. It's the one where basically you see James as unredeemable and he went on this journey to kill himself. And even the Rebirth ending is kind of, when the lost one is returned, a sour note shall turn sweet. Huh. Does it not matter where you put them here? That's weird. Just they take the puzzle out? That's very interesting. But if you go for the ritual ending, it essentially means that you're the one who's, you and James are both really into the occult stuff. Yeah, that's funny. That puzzle and easy isn't a puzzle. it's just put the items in. That's really funny. On your first playthrough, you can know those little bits, but the idea is that you do kind of play how you would. I won't say all the specific stuff, but again, on the PC version, the Maria triggers are broken. So that does affect things a bit. Okay. Just having a quick look. I just want to check if there's any rooms I would have missed. I'm really trying to remember. What room has this electric heater in that I keep remembering but don't remember where it is? But whereas Shattered Memories does that same system but does it really on the nose and very obvious, where the psychologist is asking you questions. We'll see. It must be on the 3rd floor. That's all I can think of. Or it's in the Nightmare Hotel and I just missed it. But like a lot of the questions, it's just like, hey, if you answer questions that mean you like sex things happen. If you and a lot of the changes, there's like a lot of really specific changes that don't actually do anything in that game. And on the first playthrough, you probably would not notice most of them. But on subsequent playthroughs, you definitely would. You'd be like, oh, you can see where the strings are being pulled. And I would say for sure, Silent Hill 2 doesn't have that problem, I don't think. I think without using guides and stuff, it would actually take quite a long time to figure out how to get all the endings. Like if you intentionally, I will say one thing about how the endings work in Silent Hill 2 is that there are specific endings that the game will kind of lean you towards depending on which ones you've got. Yeah, it must be a room later on. So basically, on your first playthrough, the game will essentially try and make you get the leave ending. And then on your second playthrough, it more gears towards Maria. And then once you get those two, it will gear you towards In Water. And if you do manage to get one of those endings first, like for example, if you get the Maria ending first, it will still try and push you towards the leave ending still. So you could maybe argue that because the game's built that way, there's like this theory always that what is it, that the In Water ending is like the closest to canon, or maybe the intended one. But you could maybe argue, based on the way that stuff in the endings mechanics works, that because they are pushing players towards that ending. Oh. Okay, well here it is. I thought it was later. But this is it. This is the dog room key. We just used it. Yeah, I thought it was a different door. Alright, well here it is. Save it so I can go back and... Here we go. There we go. Still so good. I don't know if the developers have ever explained where this idea came from, but it's so amazing. This song is also... Oh, watch out. Oh. See, the dog doesn't like Eddie because Eddie killed the dog. So he barks at him. He growls and goes like... Like, and some of the stuff they show is like, why? In this bit. Like, what? Like, oh, here's the player getting attacked by a boss. Oh, there's Eddie fighting. There we go, there's the pizza. See, the pizza being there makes me think they kind of knew some of the... Okay, now they're just showing random bugs. This is such a weird ending. I always forget some of the stuff they show in this. Always remember the Musty James. Just, why? Oh no. Oh no, I better not get banned for this. The game's allowed on Twitch, so there shouldn't be a problem here. There you go. I still don't think anything's topped that. There you go, 5 stars plus 3 stars. There you go. I don't know... I don't know how the speed runs work, if they do in-game time or not. But there you go, just under 3 hours. 2 or 4 endings plus 1. So if I wanted to, I could still go for the Maria and Ian Water ending. Let's do our complete save. Alright, I need to look this up. Okay. So I think I'm just going to stick normal on. I mean, it's an amazing idea. Thank you, James. Okay. Alright, so I have to do this. Yeah, Minmo, the legend. Well, it was probably, you know, because they didn't do a UFO ending originally. That was probably their version of that. Okay. So, I believe... Oh. I'm not used to these button mappings. Hang on. Okay. Let's see. I feel like I might not be doing this right. There we go. How'd you see it? There it is, after all this time. There's the mini-map. Okay, so this works how I was kind of hoping it would work. Yeah, we'll skip that. So this this is okay. So I'm gonna go back to the options and change my controls because yeah, I can't play like that. There we go. So I think this could potentially help someone who did have accessibility issues with the 3D controls, because this lets you, if you control the game by following like the mini map, I think, and it's kind of weird, this is the way you have to unlock this. Yeah, we'll go a bit further because there's something else to show as well, which I completely forgot people found. Okay, these apparently aren't in the Xbox and the PC versions, according to this article I'm reading, which is very odd. And but apparently these are still in director's cut. I feel like you could. Yeah, see, Silent Hill 2 was included as part of a director's cut and re-released on Xbox and PC. However, these secret features can only be unlocked in the original PS2 version. Okay, so the other thing I want to try. This one's really weird. Do I have to? Okay. Nope. Hang on. So apparently there's a save anywhere cheat. But the input is really weird. It's apparently it's D-pad left, right, left stick left, right stick left. There we go. Wow. That's so nuts. Look. These must be debug features. Because, you know, these areas, also the area we're in. Yeah, but if they're dev stuff, like they're hidden by such like the weirdest inputs, you know. like why do you have to have the dog ending unlocked to get this mini map? And I'm not sure about the save anywhere. And why you have to have a certain control type set. But yeah, like looking at the way the minimap works, where it seems to have like green and blue tints based on height. Like right now, I am just controlling the game by just looking at the mini map only. And again, even weirder, like why is it only in the PS2 versions? That does remind me one thing I wanted to talk about. That I wonder why it's like this with the HD collection. So the HD collection, I don't know if these are completely debug features, because for example, like there's a save point here. But there wasn't like an icon on the map for it. I kind of want to get to an enemy because I want to see if like enemies appear on the mini map or not, or if like anything appears on the mini map. You know what? I didn't try it. I wonder if you can skip talking to Angela at the start. Oh no, you can't. Interesting. They just trigger it. Let's see. Okay, I think she appears on the map. I'm gonna look at the big map just to, yeah. But yeah, apparently they only found this very recently, according to the stuff I do remember hearing about when this came out, and yeah, it was only like a year or two, like a few years ago, they found this, and I don't know if it was people just hitting random buttons, or what, or if people were going through the code, because you know they probably only gone through like the PC versions. Okay, so what I was gonna say about the HD collection is the HD collection version of Silent Hill 2 does have all the director's cut content. So it has the UFO ending, it has the Born for a Wish campaign, but it was still non-final source code. Unless the only thing I can think of is that the code for Silent Hill 2, like the main game, was unfinished source code, and then the other stuff that was made for Born, like the later games, was just separate. But it does make me wonder why it's like that, because that's so odd. Let's go look at this mini map more. Yeah, this is really interesting to see this, because I'd heard about it, but I hadn't really looked up videos. Like, it is a very basic map, but I feel like if someone was to put out a game that had the like 3D tank controls these days, they should put something like this in, because I think it would really help with people who do have issues with the directional stuff. Yeah, there must be some debuggy stuff going on, because looking at some of the way the map's generated, where it just has lines in places. Well, that's the thing, yeah. Like that's why I think it would be good for accessibility, because if you're someone who's able to play without it, then you just have no HUD elements. But if you're someone who's like, well, you know, you just couldn't do these controls, and you know, using the 3D controls, like the game will control worse, because anytime there's camera changes, you know, I'll swap to them, because I didn't end up using them much. Because first off, it breaks combat and avoiding enemies, because you're not supposed to be able to do this. It depends on probably certain parts, but we'll see. Like, I need to find an area where the camera angle changes, like, very dramatically. And that will show off the problem. Because, there's a side quest in Downpour that I guess that was like, oh, here's our way we're going to do throwback. And it has fixed camera angles, though really bad ones. It is, but like I said, I think this mini-map solution would be better. Okay, there you go. When this would be the area, so when the camera changes here, you're not moving in the direction you're pushing the stick anymore. Like when I'm moving this way, I'm pushing the stick, but now I have to push the stick up to move this way. And now I'm pushing it down, and now I have to push diagonal. Like that's it's not at that extreme there. Let's get a bit further. There's some places coming up. It also with the camera button, these controls don't work at all. Because now oh yeah. Okay, so I don't know how much you've used the camera button, but if you hold it down, it does this. But if I turn around, now I'm holding down. And now I'm holding up. This is way more frustrating. I'm not going to bemoan people who can't manage with 3D controls because that was terrible. So you're moving up, but now I'm moving right and pushing up. And I went to adjust there, and this is it. This is what I'm on about. People say that tank controls are bad, and then they play with these controls, and then this happens, and then they say, "Oh, look at this." Like I'm actually not messing around. I'm trying to get through this gate. There we go. And what people who don't like tank controls, like not the ones who can't play them because of accessibility reasons. I mean the ones who literally just don't like them. It's more they don't like fixed camera angles. Like it does make combat easier. I'll say that for sure. Like strafing around enemies, and I do think that's something that potentially could have improved Silent Hill, and it's something 4 tried to do, where when you went into combat, the controls went closer to that style. And it's kind of like surprising in some way. I was talking to some people about this, that maybe they, you putting these controls in the game is weird because some people will ask for them and demand them, but they will be having a worse experience unless they're someone like you who just can't manage those controls. I'm curious. Okay, I'm going to try and do. Also, you can move the camera around. That's the thing. Like I'm doing it right now. Obviously, not all games, like most Resident Evil games, you can't. But Silent Hill 1, 2, and 3, I don't know about 4 because it's been way too long. But there's multiple points where you can. I'm curious. I want to load the save and I want to see where does it pick you up? I've definitely seen people call them outdated, but they use the term like it automatically means negative, but specifically they use the word dated. Outdated does have negative connotations, but a lot of times people say stuff's dated, and I've always felt if you're saying something's dated and that's the only criticism you have against it, you aren't actually you don't have a proper criticism against it, because saying something is dated isn't actually describe any of the issues it had. Even when people are right when they say stuff is dated, I think people don't. It's not the right way to describe stuff. Okay, I'm really curious about the load times are longer there, so that does make me think that the save is hmm. But I'd be really interested if this does. Yeah, that's where we saved, basically. That's nuts. That in this game the entire time there was that. I can't explain to you how hard it is to input that. You have to push this left, and this left all at the same time while pressing these two and clicking in the left stick. It is so hard. You have to do it with two hands. No, but so the memory card I'm using is actually this is it. The one I'm using actually is one of the ones where it has more than the original 8 MB memory, and it actually does freak out some games. Most games are fine with it, but it's a random pool. One of the 007 games, Agent Under Fire, when you use the bigger memory stick, the load though you can save the menu just doesn't like it. It takes like minutes to load your save because it's such an early game. But there you go. We got our secrets today. Um, I will probably try Silent Hill 2 again. I don't know how long it'll be. If I ever have like really good hardware where I can do a HD stream and redo everything without the audio issues, we'll definitely do it again.